Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Another Rainbow Six extraction video for you guys. And as you all know, tomorrow is going to be the drop for the patch notes. It pertains to the enemies that are going to be coming in the game. A lot of tweaks, a lot of buffs. There may be some nerfs. It depends on who you talk to and pertains to this. But you could go onto their Twitter and you could go to the link because it's there and you can read all of it, because this page is a really long read. They're gonna put a lot of things into the game, and it's to the point where it's gonna be going through maintenance. All right, so at 10 a.m. it's gonna be maintenance starting from there, and then at 12 p.m. is when the maintenance should be done. So you're talking about 2 hours. All right, so as far as with these enemies gonna be coming into the game, these new Archean variants and the parasite mutations and all that stuff, I'm gonna be reading it to you guys right here. Now, as far as with the new variants and all that, we have feral grunts. Now, as you can see here with this one, we already know how the regular grunt is, but with the feral grunts though, these are erratic melee attackers that can jump off walls to close the gap on you and your squad, so you have to eliminate them before they reach you. That's a feral grunt. They'll put it in the Chimera threat once it gets patched and all of that. Now we also have storm spikers. Now the regular spiker, we already know what it does, but the storm spiker though, these variants shoot multiple homing projectiles at you, destroy them midway, stay out of its line of sight to avoid detection. So once they see you and they shoot at you, it will home in at you. Unless you shoot it out of the air, take cover, because if you don't, you can't run away from, because it homes in on you and it will do damage. So that's what you gotta keep mindful of. Now they also have a smoker. We have breachers and we have bloaters. All right, we got these breachers and we have these bloaters. Now we have a smoker. Now these smokers, they can self-detonate, leaving a cloud of smoke that deals damage if touched. Maintain distance and obliterate it before it gets too close to you. Now, they act just like breachers and bloaters. If they get too close, they'll scream, you can knife them, and they'll back up and they'll just boom, they'll explode. But when their cloud is there, don't try to run through like you would do against a bloater. I would rather just go around it. Alright, so those are the three different variants. Now, as far as with parasite mutations, we also have revived Archeans, because I'm reading all this to you guys right here. So all enemies are reanimated after death, so obliterate them to keep them from coming back. So it seems like once we kill them, we have to obliterate them from coming back, because they'll just keep being revived over and over and over again. Now we also have spontaneous blinding mines. Now these mines leave blinding mines when they die. Obliterate them to prevent the blinding effect. We also have exploding mines. So the sowers, they'll drop mines which will blind you. These mines, they explode on you and deal damage to you. So when you see those mines, get rid of them before you trigger them or somebody runs over and they take damage. So obliterate the enemy quickly to prevent mine drops. Now we have another thing in here called Archean Havoc. The enemy can breach destructible walls and obstacles instantly. Plan defense tactics accordingly and be wary that your usual defenses won't be enough. So they can breach destructible walls and obstacles instantly. Those are the Archean Havocs, so you gotta watch out for those. Now, this is the enemy that I wanted to get to. And remember how the Smasher is, right? You can't damage him in the front. He has a weakness where you have to go to the back. You can stab him, you can shoot him up in the back, right? Now they have an Immortal Smasher. This Smasher is completely covered in carapace. Remember when we do some objectives, the nest, they'll be covered in carapace. You can't shoot at them and all that stuff, and you have to actually stab them to kill them. Or if it gets erratic with multiple screams, it will shed its carapace, and that's when it's really weak and you could just knife it or shoot it. The Immortal Smasher is covered in carapace and won't take damage. It has no weak points, so do not engage. I believe they put him in the game right now. I believe once he's in, there's gonna be somebody that's gonna try to damage it, trying to kill it, all of that. I believe it has a weakness, it's just not in the game yet. Alright, when it does become active and mobile. But as it sits right now, it has no weak points. Do not engage. Now, I'm going to get to the React Tech now, because this is actually quite interesting right here, guys. So when it comes to the React Tech, those arc mines, right? These arc mines, they can no longer be picked up after detonation. That's the arc mines. Now, remember the XR drone, recon drone? It will now consistently scan solar mines. It never used to scan solar mines. Now it does. The React laser, it will now reward XP for destroying solar mines. You have glue grenades. Remember the glue grenades that we have in the game? It will now last 3 seconds. Not 3 seconds. It will last 4 seconds instead of 3. The glue grenade also will consistently clear an area of visual effects such as smoke. ADS feedback will now display on scanned enemies through visual effects such as smoke. We have auto turret. Now the auto turret will now target Archean tree, anchor points, and fuel cells. Sounds good. Now scanner mines, we have scan mines, scan grenades, recon vapor device, and IQ's ability now consistently reveals cloaked Archeans. It will now consistently do that, because there will be periods in which people talked about in which when they throw their recon vapor device, it doesn't reveal the cloak Archeans consistent enough, but now it will do it more. Now let's go over to weapons, because a number of weapons is going to be getting more scopes. The MK14 EBR is now going to have 1.5, 2.0, and 2.5 scopes. It will be available for this weapon. The HK417, it will have the same scopes as well, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5. The MP5K now will have a 1.5 scope. All right. Now, moving on to the menus, right? The right arrow key can now be rebound. The Maelstrom headgear expiry time will now display the correct time. It will also fix an issue causing certain languages to display incorrectly in game chat. Assign the shoot action to the R1 on the PS5 will now work correctly. The shoot action to the R1, it will now work correctly, because since people have been talking about that, now that's been fixed. Now, there's going to be talking about incursions now, as far as with what's been going on. When an active study requires a specific Archean archetype, the chance of that archetype spawning is increased. It used to be low, but now they increased it. All parasite mutations can now appear during incursions from cautious difficulty level onward. You have Archeans will no longer spawn in the ceiling, preventing the completion of clear high density zone objective in Kick the Anthill. Also, in the hunt objective, you will no longer be required to defeat apexes in order to attract the elite target. So there that goes. Now, talking about operators. In general, when you're talking about operators in this patch, players will no longer lose the ability to perform action after interacting with an object at the same time as another operator. Operators will no longer be displayed with a suppressor attachment when it's not equipped. You see that multiple times when you load in, you see, oh, there's a suppressor there when you didn't put it there and all of that stuff. They fixed that. Transitioning to aim down sight with an angle grip attachment will no longer cause a delay in firing. Alright. Now, Moving on to the operators themselves. Lion's EE1 ability will now detect moving sludge after it separates. That's like a minor buff, to be honest with you, because nowadays you could barely see sludge, but for Lion, if you're using him, there that goes. The caution risk and crush depth headgear for Lion no longer have the same design. Alright. Now Capital's alpha skin is now consistent with his Rainbow Six Siege uniform. Alright. Nomad gets what as well too. The arms of Nomad's polar vortex uniform now displays correctly. Here's a kicker now for a lot of Ibana users, and me as well too, because Ibana is one of the best operators in the game. Her ability will now cause damage if detonated on a smasher's face. How many times people been using her ability on a smasher and it does no damage? Even if it's on his face, it does no damage. Now her ability does that. The legs of Ibana's Cosmopolos uniform will now display correctly. Moving on. Jaeger's ADS will no longer target spores attached to Archeans instead of the Archeans themselves. That's all Jaeger gets. Alright? Pulse now. Pulse's cardiac sensor will no longer fail to detect nests on high walls or ceilings. That is actually big for him, because you have it up. It's supposed to scan things there. If it's up top, based on how it's scanning, it's supposed to go upward as well too. Now it will detect those that are on the walls or the ceilings and whatnot. Also, his cardiac sensor will no longer fail to detect MI operators or VIPs. That's another thing. If someone is down, you be like, where you at? You could pull out your cardiac sensor and you could detect them. Like, boom, he's there. Yo. So Pulse's ability now is is a lot better now. Zofia, she just came in the game and she's already getting stuff. Her level 7 advancement description displays information corrected. Her impact grenades will now result in the correct knockback reaction on all Archean archetypes. Zofia can now restore 5 HP and 70 temporarily HP after using Withstand ability. So technically overall she'll have 75, but the temporary 70 will start to dip. So that's actually good. As far as with Gridlock, this one is kind of useless, because now players can now be able to place a ping over a deployed track's stinger. Like, what's the point of pinging it for? It's on the ground. It would be nice for Gridlock where you can actually pick up her ability. That would literally be a good upgrade for Gridlock. That's just how I feel on it. Now, Finka, she can now use her Adrenaline Surge when down from level 1 advancement. That's cool. Now her level 10 advancement now gives her a boost of 4 HP per second up to a max of 40. That's good there too. And last but not least, we have him, Tankacha. His ammo gauges will no longer occasionally be occulted on deployed mounted LMGs. So there that goes. As far as with enemies now, these guys these guys get an upgrade as well too. So the damage multiplier for automatic shotguns against routers, right? So we talking about routers and sowers. Their weak points have been increased. As far as with them taking the damage multiplier, it increases on them, which is right. The sower fixes an ability with Sower Mind's hitbox. So that's good. So they fixed that. Sowers will now be slightly more aggressive. These are sowers now. So these guys will be more aggressive and flee less during combat. So they're not just gonna keep backing up all the time. They'll be more aggressive towards you, which is cool. Elite sowers will now perform melee attacks when operators are in close proximity to them. Sowers which spawn during defense objectives will no longer plant sower mines on the way to the objective. So, at times when you're trying to defend and they will go away and all that stuff and put a mine there, they ain't gonna do that no more. And lurkers now. Lurkers will be more aggressive in combat if there are multiple other lurkers in close proximity. To be honest with you, when it comes to them, these lurkers, normally there's one in just one. There won't be a second one or a third one in close proximity. So I believe the lurkers will act the same way unless it comes to a maelstrom in which you see two lurkers right there. Then they will become more aggressive, more of a problem. So with that being said, all of these things are going to be dropping tomorrow as far as within the patch notes. So when that happens, just let it go into maintenance. When it boots back up, you will start to see the different enemies, all the changes, all of that good stuff. So that is the patch notes that's going to be coming to Rainbow Six on March 16th. So let me know what you guys think as far as with all of that, because that was technically, it says it's a 6-minute read, but I went into even more detail than that. So let me know what you guys think as far as with these enemies that are coming into the game, because they're actually quite interesting, especially that Immortal Smasher that you cannot defeat yet. But I'll see how it goes. So let me know what you guys think on it, man. All right, take care.